This is the CE, or Christian Education 202, ministering to persons with special needs or disabilities. And it's for this fall semester, September 28th through October 2nd, 2020. And I wanted you, as we've just introduced ourselves, I'm Sandra Holly, Sue Denny, and Wendy Polk, and we wanted to go over the syllabus with you so you will know what type of things to expect. But before we do that, let's just have a prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to learn with each other and to open our hearts to reach out to people who are different from us, who may have a disability or a problem that is a chronic health problem, and the church needs to be able to minister to these people. And we ask that you would show us how we can be your hands and your feet and show your love to those around us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. The objectives of this class is just that we will have an understanding of disabilities and how that impacts that person and their family. That includes their parents, their siblings, their grandparents, other family members, even neighbors are affected by the disability sometimes because of the community outlook on different things. In the global community, disabilities are often frowned upon or considered even a curse, and that there's something wrong with that person or that family, that this terrible thing has happened to them. And people who are part of disabilities will tell you that as far from the truth as it can be, that often that family member not only is a blessing to that family, it's somebody they learn from and learn life lessons from. Every life has a purpose, and we're all created in God's image, and that's the part of the course that we want you to understand the most. And Jesus told that himself when asked about the blind man. He said, who sinned, him or his parents? And he said, neither. It was for the glory of God. And so there are a lot of reasons why disabilities happen. Some are accidents, some happen before birth, some happen during birth, or some happen because of sickness or different things that cause. And in our book that we will be discussing, there are two kinds of people. People with a disability and those who are temporarily able-bodied. Because at some point in time, especially with aging, I'm becoming very aware that we all have problems and we all have sicknesses, and we either start to lose our memory or our eyesight or our hearing, or something can cause, or our physical disability can cause us to change some of the ways that we handle life. So those are some of the starts of the course. We want you to be able to understand how to start a ministry, where to start a ministry, what kind of needs you might see that would lead you to start a ministry. There's no cookie cutter, this is what you should do and this is the kind of ministry you should have. It's all based on what what you see and what the needs are. So it's really thinking outside the box to start this. During the course of this seminary course, we're going to do online videos, present our lectures that way, and during the week that we would have had class, we would have Zoom meetings that week. And you're expected to read the textbook, reaching out and bringing them in. And my copy may look a little different from yours, but this is the book, and it's less than 500 pages. So there are also a list of articles that are available at KTS's online library, and you should read the articles that are there, and that will cover your 500 pages if you read those articles and read the book. And so that's your first assignment, is to be sure you read that. That's a requirement by the seminary. In addition to that, some of the things that we're going to ask you to do is to prepare a presentation. I would like a written page, 1 or 2 pages, and then a quick presentation that can be delivered through Facebook or online somehow to us that talks about a disability. You can research, interview, talk from personal experiences, but to explain something about one disability that you would be interested in knowing about, or one that you maybe already know about. And if that's uncomfortable for you, the other option to that, because of this being online, I'm giving you more options than I usually do. You could research in the Bible about disabilities and do a short Bible lesson on how Jesus felt about helping people with disabilities. And it would be the same format, a 2-page typed paper that we could that you could turn in, and a short presentation that is digital. And then there's also a long-term project that you would turn in by the end of the semester to KTS's Christian education faculty. And they're also there a opportunity to choose. You can choose to find a special needs ministry and volunteer your time and do something with them. It might be a Sunday school type class, it might be a camp type class, whatever you could find. Or if you can't find that and would like to do an individual person, you could talk to a parent or caregiver and spend some one-on-one time working with a person with a disability. The other option there, which right now may seem harder, but it might be easier, is to create an item that could be used by a person with a disability or used in a disability ministry. I meant to bring examples, but we'll get to those later on. It might be you're doing a sensory item and you're providing something there that a person could use to help calm them or help them do better at something that they were trying to do, improve their quality of life in some way. So you can, it doesn't have to be a total invention. It can be you saw it online or saw it somewhere and you make the homemade version of it. So it's more economical. Because when you add special needs, special populations, disabilities to any kind of item, the price seems to go up. So it's better if you can find a way to make a similar item. An example right through here for us is my daughter has very little small cupped ears, and she doesn't like to wear the straps for the mask. And she can't keep them on her ears. I can't keep them on her ears. So I talked to Wendy, and her mother is really good at stuff, and she made a little cloth strip. It's probably in my purse, and it has a button on each end, so we can just button the strap of the two there, and there she's set to go. It's not bothering her, and she's being compliant with our new rules and regulations about wearing masks in public. So that's something that was necessary, and we found a way to do it. And that's what a lot of special needs families need, is they come up with a need and they find a way to meet that need without having to order it from some expensive store. Can you think of some examples of that, either one of you?
Fidgets, such as pipe cleaners that they can hold in their hands and hold. A cloth toy that they can just have to hold in their hand. Also, a new thing that has came to my attention is called fidget sleeves, that if you crochet, knit, you can make it to fit their arm and put buttons and crochet flyers, little things that they can kind of feel and play with. I'm bad about playing with a pen or a piece of paper or something. We all have a fidget from time to time that makes us feel comfortable. Just think outside the box about what would help them to stay focused in class, or as you're trying to communicate with them, that they can hold or wear to help them with their time of interacting with you.
My sister's actually made us the sleeve. I haven't gotten it from her yet, but you will get to see that on video, because we have that made. She crochets, and she crocheted it, and I can't wait to have it. We're going to get to use them in my classroom, but you will get to see that. Did you think of any right off the top of your head?
You can take 2 washcloths and sew it and put beans or rice in it. If you put the rice, you can heat that up. So if their hands are cold, it gives them something warm to hold on, and they can move it. And you can take slime.
Any kind of small cloth would work.
Any small kind of cloth, rice, beans, whatever you have in handy. If you know how to make slime or can get a hold of slime, you can put that in a balloon.
Can you teach us how to make slime?
Yes, I will teach
Okay,
you how to
we'll
make
get that
slime.
done.
I will make slime Yeah, I'll make some slime.
You can also put flour in balloons.
Yes. Anything squishy, but they can.
Yeah.
So I do want you to be aware of what your class assignments are. You only have 2. It sounded like a lot. But the first one's your research paper. It's 2 pages. It can be on a disability or it can be on a Bible reference. And there must be a presentation to go with it. So there's something we can see and enjoy from that. And the other one is your long-term project that doesn't have to be turned in till the end of your semester. And that is where you have actually gone out and participated and had a learning experience with a special needs group, program, school, or individually. Or you can make an item and share it with us, and we would want like a demo of how you made it and video so we could see how to do that. Those are to be turned in to the Christian Education Department, but there are bonus points if you find a way to send it to us also digitally, because we want to know what you did and we would enjoy that part of it. So at the end of your syllabus, you will see my contact information, and we've created a Facebook group. You could always post stuff to us on the Facebook group as well. I'm going to go through the schedule in a minute, but let me get to the end of that first as to what your grades are on these projects and how to report them to us. Because that's always, when I was in class, I want to know what I got to do and what kind of points do I get for it. So by participating with the videos and the Zoom calls, it's worth 20 points. To do your research paper is 20 points, and to present it in a presentation is another 20 points. Your long-term project is worth 40 points, whichever one you do. That totals your 100 points without the exam. But we will add the exam in for extra credit. Whatever you get on your exam is your bonus credits. And also, if you send it to us, your project, then that is also bonus points. So that you can end up with like 130 out of a class because of all the different things we're there. And the Facebook group is KTS class/special needs. So as soon as you can, we'd like for you to join that class, and then we can post stuff there that you might be interested in reading about, and we will ask that you post your projects and also anything else you want to add. I'm going to kind of go what each video is about for you as a schedule. On day 1, you will be, this is the first one, introducing ourselves, introducing yourselves through our Facebook group, or however you can figure out how to do it. You can just send it in a chat. We can read it, but we like to see your picture. Or we also wanted to be sure you send us any questions you have on the syllabus. I've never went over a syllabus yet that didn't have questions, so be glad to answer those when you send them to me. Our first session on the actual book is chapter 1. It's the basics, the fundamentals of disabilities, what the course should look like, what type of disabilities there are, what the causes are, statistics related to different disabilities, what might be adverse effects of it, and signs of it, symptoms of it, and how family and friends and the person with the disability are affected by that disability. We'll also talk a little bit about what kind of language you should use to not offend people when you're talking about that, and some of the global views on disabilities. The next video, which would be the third one because the introduction one's the first one, is more about the worldviews. How are people aware of disabilities? What are people's thoughts on disabilities in different parts of the world? What's going on in education and in inclusion? And now new to us is how are we going to teach them online if we're not lifted from the restrictions of the coronavirus? So there are lots there to cover on trends that are part of the worldview. And then we want to get into, well, what's God's view? So the next section would be the biblical view of disabilities and disability ministries, and what we can see there from the Bible, from the different lessons on different miracles, and from the parables, and like when one about the master who had a banquet planned and the people didn't come, and he went out in the streets and found other people to come. So, and then he said the last shall be first. And so those are the kind of things that we will cover in how you can get a more biblical perspective on this as a part of your everyday ministry, how to reach out to people who are different from yourselves, whether it's a disability or an ethnic difference, whatever the difference might be. And then how your church can start to show compassion to people and meet their needs. Whoever comes into your church or in contact with you is someone God has put in your path, and how that's for a reason. So you can minister to them, and so that your gifts, your strengths and weaknesses can be part of that, but also they have gifts and strengths and weaknesses, and they were made in God's image, and how they can be a part of that. An example I always think of, one of the first people I met in Ukraine, a pastor there took me to visit a family, and the young man there was completely bedridden. His mother could no longer pick him up and carry him to get him down the steps of their apartment to go places. And this pastor would come visit him when he needed to pray about something, because he said, he's my prayer warrior. I can tell him about anything. I know he's not going to go tell anybody else, and that he is going to pray just like he said he would about it. And he's a prayer warrior. So there was a purpose for that man's life right there when he couldn't even leave his apartment. And so everyone has a purpose and a reason, and that's some of the things that will be covered on day one. Now on day two, we're getting more into how to start a ministry. What does it look like? What type of ministries are there? But it's thinking out of the box. You might come up with something totally different than any of these. But we'll tell you about all the ministries that we've been involved in and that we've seen, and show you video clips of different ministries. And then we will ask that you be thinking of other ones that you might have. Any kind of compassion ministry can be kind of lumped into this. It's not just disabilities. There are compassion ministries that help people who have been in jail or prison, or have had addiction problems, or have memory problems. There are lots of issues where people seem a little less acceptable to society, but that the church needs to be open in a way to minister to them. Mental illness comes into play there too. And then day three, we start to get really practical. That's when we'll show you how to make some of the items that we talked about. How to help the parents, how to help the siblings, how to teach a lesson, and how people learning styles. So day three is the fun day. We really get to dive in. And then day four, we start to bring it back into perspective. People sometimes are caught up in, well, if you only have enough faith, your child or your person with a disability will be healed. So we'll talk about God's view and views on that as well. And I'll give you a spoiler alert now. If you asked me today if I wanted my daughter healed, I would tell you no. She would be a totally different person. She wouldn't be anything like the Mara that I love if she was healed of her Down syndrome. I can't even imagine it, because it's in every cell of your body. It would change her eyes, her nose, everything would change. No, I don't want her healed. I want her healthy. I want her to have quality to her life, but I'm not praying for healing. And you'll find many parents get to that point. We'll also talk about that there's different stages of how you feel as a parent or a caregiver. Sometimes you're depressed about it. Sometimes you're researching, this is a new problem. What can I do to fix this problem? And sometimes you're in an accepting mode. I'm going to accept what's going on here, and it's okay. God's got this. And so day 5, we're going to kind of try to wrap this all up and bring hope to this broken world about disabilities, and have some more videos to show you of things that we're seeing happening here in the U.S. and in the Ukraine. Joy Center that she mentioned that she runs, House of Kindness that we've seen in Ukraine. We've seen VBS's, Johnny and Friends, Special Olympics. There are a lot of things that we've had experience with that we'll share with you. And if you have others we'd like to know about those, we can include those as well. So just getting to know what's going on in our churches and how we can be a part of it and how we can help parents and caregivers at the same time. And then in closing, we will review, and then you will take your exam. So that's our syllabus. Send me your questions. Any comments, ladies?
Yep.
That sounds like
Bye.
a wonderful week.